Okay, we're on a bit of a side quest today, away from working on the car itself. Looking into the future a little bit, we want to be able to do some data logging on the car. So data logging is where you capture information about what's happening in the car as you drive it and the inputs and all the rest. And one of the unique things that we have about the class of racing that we do is it's a vintage class. So they really want the vehicles to look like vintage vehicles. So nowadays a data logger typically big screen that's on the dash, and then in the background it's tracking various different things, but the dashes are digital, and they weren't around in vintage times 50 years ago when our car was built. But we still want to do as much data logging as we can, and so I've come up with a little bit of a hack. We're going to try this guy out, which is a Racebox Mini, and I'll open it up so you can get a sense of what it is. The beauty about this thing is it is much smaller than a typical logger, and it doesn't require a screen. And but let's talk a little bit about what's the things that I want to use the data logger for. So you can do a bunch of different things, right? You can track when you apply the accelerator, the brake, and the G-forces, and a bunch of different things like that. But I think if there were three things that are most critical, particularly around becoming the best driver you can be: lap times, of course, right? You want to know how fast you're going. What else? Predictive lap times. So specifically, are you going faster this lap than you were last lap? Because it's giving you real-time feedback into the, the lines you've taken, or however you've approached the corner or exited the corner. So predictive lap times, really, really important. In fact, I would say that's the most important. And then the next thing to consider that I think is really, really important as well is video. And so we're going to combine this Racebox Mini with a GoPro, and ultimately I'll show you how you can combine the two to see the kind of data logging with the video. So you can do a bunch more stuff with data logging. The Racebox Mini does a couple more things, but not a lot more. So we're going to see, can we make this thing work? So let's follow along. Okay, so what is the Racebox Mini? Well, it's a pretty simple data logger. Let me open it up for you. So this is what it looks like, little case. And it's this little guy here, little black box, which you can mount pretty much anywhere on the vehicle. In our case, we'll be able to mount it underneath the bodywork somewhere where it's not going to get knocked or hit. And what it does is it can track where you are GPS wise, and at the same time it's got an accelerometer in there. So it can understand how quickly you're accelerating and decelerating and moving left and right and all the rest. So it's a pretty simple way for us to track G's, speed, deceleration, acceleration, so lateral and longitudinal, G-force. And we can also combine it with video. So we video with GoPro, and it'll give us an indication of what the driver's actually doing on the track. And then one of the other really powerful things it can do, probably honestly the most powerful thing if you're doing data logging, is to give you predictive lap. So what as you drive the car, you're actually this guy is using GPS to actually tell you how you're doing against your previous fastest lap. And the way it does that is that it needs to show you that in real time somehow, but it doesn't come with a dash, right? There's no kind of way to visibly understand what's going on. And that's where this guy comes in. Now, this is a little bit of a hack. This is a little, it's actually a kid's Android phone. That's what they sell them as, kind of a small little phone. And it's going to become, at least the theory is, it's going to become our dash that we are going to stick on the steering wheel So as we're driving, this will be actually giving us kind of the feedback as to how we're doing in terms of lap time. So as you can see, it's kind of a nice little simple setup. I hope it's going to work, but really the beauty of it is this guy will do all the logging. It'll be hidden away so you won't be able to see it, and then we have this very, very small screen that I plan to put on the steering wheel. And let me get the steering wheel to show you kind of scale wise how it will work. So here's the steering wheel. So the idea really is that we'll attach the screen on there somehow. So it's kind of subtle. It's not one of these big dashes. I hope it's going to work, but what we're actually going to do today is test it out in the road car. So let's start playing with it. All right, so we've got the Racebox. We've got our little dash. This is going to go on the dash of the road car, Racebox itself, and we need... All right, let's get started. So I'm in the road car. I've created what they call a hill climb, custom track. So I just basically told the system where I'm going to drive, and there's a start and a finish that I added to the map. And so I am ready to go. Hopefully you can see that. I've got it down here on the charger, our little screen. So there it is. So what it's saying is I need to get within 5 meters of the start line to see what's happening here. So just make sure there's no one else around. Okay, we're not going to go super fast here or anything. I think we should be pretty close to the start line here. Just pull in. Okay. I think it has crashed. Okay, small change of plan. The little screen isn't working very well, so I'm going to do it on my regular phone. So I've got the app open on the Racebox app open on my phone. Racebox sitting up on the dash. It's asking me, do I want to calibrate? I'm going to skip that for the moment. I'm going to go to a new track session, and I see Hill Climb 1. This is a track that I created already. So it's telling me I'm pretty much ready to go. Just a couple of different warnings there. It's saying I'm 10 meters from the start line. I need to be within 5 meters of the start line. So and I think this is just oh, I've actually gone past the start line. Okay, fair enough. Of course there's a car parked right where I created the start line. Okay, so we're going to do a little test. I created a hill climb, which is just a section of the road that the system knows about. It's going to time us over that section of the road, and it's telling me in order to get started I need to be within 5 meters of the start line that I created. Of course there's a car parked exactly where I created that start line, but that's not the end of the world. We'll move a little bit closer here. Okay, we're within 5 meters. We'll stay here for a second. It says when you're ready, click go. There's a car just about to pass me here. So I'm not going to drive super fast or anything, but we're just going to see what we get when we drive. Okay, go. All right, so I can see it's timing me. So I'm going to be honest here, I didn't mount the Racebox. So it's just sitting on the dash, so we shouldn't expect things to be particularly accurate, but I'm seeing some G-force information there. I split this run into 3 sections, which is kind of cool. So if you're on an actual track, you'd be able to understand in any given lap where you are fast and maybe where you are slow compared to prior laps. So by splitting the lap into sections, in this case it's just a straight road, it's a hill climb, so I have split it into sections. I don't see it telling me anything about hitting the first of those sections. I think I should have already hit it, but let's see anyway. So keep on going here. up the hill. There's a car behind me, so we're gonna keep speed up a little bit. So nothing too exciting happening so far. I'm not driving very quickly, so the G-force is okay. So there's sector 2. It's kind of cool. Hopefully you saw that momentarily. So, oh, we're in sector 2 now. I guess that makes sense. Okay. Coming up on the end of sector 2. Ignore the car. Oops, I just fired the box itself into the onto the floor of the car. So let's see, that'll probably impact the G-force. In fact, I can see it's probably lying on its side, so it's registering G-force throughout, but that's okay. Alright, we should be close to there we go. So there's our first lap, a 1 minute 58 seconds. So we'll loop back around and we'll do one more time and see does it give us any predictive lap timing. Okay, so here we are. Our first lap was a 1:58.84 on our little hill climb. We had a maximum G of 2G lateral, which probably happened when the Racebox itself, the logger fired across the dash and hit the door. But let's give it another go. Fire it up. The first thing we need to do is we need to be close to the start of our track. So need to be less than 5 meters. There we are. Turn that off. That off. Okay, let's go. So we go a little bit quicker here if I can. There's not too much traffic. All right, so it's not giving me anything crazy in terms of information here. I can switch from miles an hour to kilometers an hour. Oh, here's my predictive. There we go. That's kind of cool. So it's predicting a 56.8 at the moment. And there we go. There's sector 1. We were 2 seconds faster. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, let's see what happens with sector 2 up here. The predictive is looking pretty good. Actually, you know what? I'm going to slow right down and see can we make it go red. So it's going higher. That's pretty good. Okay, it's red. All right, let's speed back up a little bit. So we're in sector 2. We didn't do that well. Fortunately, we're a bit slower. There's our sector 2, fully red. Let's see if we can carry a bit of speed through these corners. Okay, there's the Racebox firing across the dash again. A bit more juice. We are picking up speed. Okay, it's gone right across the dash that we're going green. Okay, that's pretty good. Nice and bright. Easy for us to see in the actual car, which is great. Okay, so sector 2 is green as well, and we're in the last sector. Let's see what our overall lap time is going to be. So it's predicting a 56 at the moment. I think we're almost around the corner here at the start finish. There we go. 55.26. Okay. Awesome. That was kind of cool. That worked well. Okay, so I just realized something else. If you turn the phone sideways, you get a different view. So in the race car, this is going to be much more interesting. We don't care about G's when we're actually racing. We really just care about lap times. So I kind of like this layout. I think there are different choices. Yeah. Okay. So if I tap on it, it'll give me different stuff. Predictive gaps. Awesome. So that works pretty well. Now the only issue is we need to get the little one, the little dash to work, because I don't want to be sticking my actual cell phone in the race car. So let's play with that a little bit more. Okay, so we recorded the stuff, and I want to show you the analytics tools that Racebox actually provides. So what we can see here is we did on the hill climb 1, This is a little test I did before, but up here we did our 2 laps. And so we can use the data analysis tools to look at the data, see how we drove. So here we are, it's just loading. And I'm kind of impressed by this, to be honest with you. I've used way more powerful tools, but sometimes it's just access and understanding the data is more important. So here we are. Here's our lap on the right. This is the course. It's probably not 100% accurate because I didn't mount the GPS box itself particularly well. But you can see the 3 sectors that I created, which is really helpful, right? When you're actually doing a lap versus a hill climb, it's really helpful to understand where you're gaining time or actually losing time. So some analysis on the side here, but let's scroll down. And so we have 3 channels that it logged. It logged our speed, green, which is longitudinal g-forces, so when you accelerate or you brake, and then blue is our cornering g's. And so we're looking at our first lap. What do we see? Well, we started at 0, makes sense. We kind of sped up, which was good, kind of kept the speed relatively constant. This is set up currently in kilometers an hour. You can see over here this spike, the speed doesn't spike, but the accelerations or the lateral and longitudinal G's spike. That's almost definitely when the Racebox fired across the dash and hit the door. So kind of interesting. But I think what's even more interesting is being able to compare our laps. So if I go up here and go versus, so I'm going to compare it to a session. I'm going to change it. So we did 2 sessions. So I'm going to go to session 2, which was the faster lap. So it's already chosen the 155. So we're going to compare lap 1 of 158 versus 155. And the route we took is identical, so not too much to learn there. I think if we were doing an actual track, this would be more interesting, so we could compare lines. But what we can do here is compare speeds. So blue is our first lap, red is our second lap. Remember, the second lap was quicker, so we can see we accelerate roughly the same rate, but we keep our speed higher. Remember, I said I was going to go a little bit quicker, so this is in section 1. When I get to section 2, you'll remember from the video, I was like, I'll slow down a little bit because I wanted to look at the predictive stuff. So here we are. Here's me slowing down by quite a bit. And then I speed back up. I wanted to get a faster time overall. So it's not bad at all, to be honest with you, for something that was relatively easy to set up. I think it's going to be way more valuable when we have multiple laps on a track, and we'll be able to look at those sectors. And there must be a way to zoom in. I assume there's a way to zoom in here so we could look more closely at the different lines we take. So super powerful, really nice. I think it's going to be great for helping Luke out to compare where he's faster and slower. One of the things for new drivers is consistency, so it'll be great to be able to see this, pick multiple laps and do a comparison. And then the other thing that I was able to work out is you can actually overlay this data on the video that we took. And so I'll wrap it up by showing just a little bit of that. You might notice that it's not perfect because I did fairly quickly, but a really powerful tool. So I'm kind of happy. What worked was the predictive lap timing worked. The logging looks to be pretty solid. It looks to have the basic set of tools that I want to have here. The overlay works really well. The one thing that didn't work is my little Android phone dash. So it might have been me setting stuff up incorrectly, but that's the one thing we've got to solve. But I'll wrap it up here and show you just a little bit of the overlay of the data on the video, which is super helpful as well.